Chapter 4. The Subdivision of Land and Title Registration in British Columbia. Which of the following could appear as a charge on a certificate of title? An easement in favor of a local telecommunications company. Which of the following appears in the description of land section of a land title search in British Columbia? Parcel identifier, or PID. Jacob hires Choo Choo Contracting, Choo Choo, a general contractor, to renovate his living room to better display his model train collection. Choo Choo subcontracts Jennifer, an electrician, to install the specialized electrical connections. After Jennifer completes the work, but before she has been paid, Choo Choo suddenly goes out of business. Which of the following statements about what Jennifer might do is true? Jennifer has 45 days to file a builder's lien after the project is substantially completed, ended, or abandoned. Which of the following statements about the principle of indefeasibility is true? In British Columbia, there are a number of exceptions to the principle of indefeasibility. The abolition of the doctrine of notice by the Land Title Act is subject to the exception of fraud. Which of the following is a valid mandatory component of the strata plan that a developer must deposit at the Land Title Office to create a strata development? A schedule of unit entitlement. Which of the following statements regarding manufactured home registration is false? If an owner discovers that their manufactured home is not registered, they must register the home within 30 days of that discovery. Which of the following options best describes a caveat? A notice placed on the certificate of title at the request of a person who claims an interest in the land. Which of the following is not a component of the British Columbia land title registration system? The doctrine of the void deed. In British Columbia, before approving a conversion of a rental building to a condominium, the approving authority must consider a number of factors. Which one of the following is not a mandatory consideration? The potential increase in real property tax revenue. Which of the following statements about the principles that apply to all strata developments in British Columbia is true? The Strata Property Act generally does not apply on First Nation reserve land, subject to some exceptions. There are three common types of void deeds. Which one is considered not to be a void deed? An unregistered deed. In order for a person to make a successful claim against the Assurance Fund in British Columbia, they must prove three of the following. Indicate the exception. The person who deprived the injured party of their interest or estate in land has resold the interest to a bona fide purchaser for valuable consideration. Which of the following best describes the principle of indefeasibility in British Columbia? Any registered owner who acquires a fee simple estate in good faith and for valuable consideration is protected by our land title system. Which of the following statements about duplicate certificates of title is true? Duplicate certificates of title cannot be issued if the property is subject to a mortgage. Which of the following is not an exception to the principle of indefeasibility under the British Columbia Torrens system of land registration? A registered fee simple acquired bona fide for value without knowledge of an earlier fraudulent dealing in the fee simple title. Under the Torrens system of land registration in British Columbia, if property is registered in favor of a trustee, this is shown by which of the following? A notation of trust on the title. A fee simple owner in British Columbia who is the victim of a fraudulent conveyance of their land will lose the right to have the transfer set aside when the title to the property has been transferred to a good faith purchaser for valuable consideration. For purposes of assessment and taxation, each strata lot, together with the owner's share in the common property, is deemed to be a separate parcel of land and improvements. In relation to the notation of a trust on the title for a property, which of the following correctly describes the meaning of a trustee? The trustee is the individual or entity in whose name the trust property is held. Which of the following statements is true under the Torrens system in British Columbia? Registered fee simple owners enjoy the guarantee of indefeasibility, but registered charge holders do not. Which of the following statements is true pertaining to the purposes of assessment and taxation? Each strata lot, together with the owner's share in the common property, is deemed to be a separate parcel of land and improvement. Andrew forged a mortgage and registered it against the fee simple title of Julia, without her knowledge. Andrew then went to the handy-dandy finance company and sold the mortgage to them. Wendy, an employee of Handy Dandy, searched the title and ascertained that Andrew was the registered mortgagee prior to buying the mortgage from Andrew. Subsequently, Julia learned of the mortgage when Handy Dandy sent notice to her instructing her to make her payments in the future to Handy Dandy. Julia told Handy Dandy that she had never granted a mortgage to anyone and that she had no intention of paying them anything. Andrew is now living happily in Bolivia. Which of the following statements is true? Julia will be able to have Handy Dandy's mortgage removed from her title, and Handy Dandy will have no recourse except against Andrew. Which of the following statements about Bare Land Strata developments is true? The owners of Bare Land Strata lots will be responsible for the costs associated with the common property of the development, which may include outdoor recreational facilities such as lakes or trails. Which of the following statements concerning the common law doctrine of the void deed is true? A void deed would cause all subsequent transfers of the land to be of no effect, even if made in good faith and for value. Sections 15 and 18, 1, of the Manufactured Home Act provide that no person shall move a manufactured home unless the manufactured home is registered in the Manufactured Homes Registry and a transport permit has been obtained from the registrar. Earl is the registered fee simple owner of Blackacre. Duke forges and registers a transfer of Blackacre to himself in fee simple. Duke then borrows $50,000 from Royalty Trust Co. The loan is secured against Blackacre by way of a mortgage. Which of the following statements is true? Because of the forgery, Earl can recover Blackacre free of Royalty's mortgage. Which of the following correctly describes the nature of the ownership in land that is held by the owner of a strata lot in a freehold strata development? A fee simple interest in the strata lot, and a proportionate fee simple interest in the common property as a tenant in common with the other owners. The principle that the person named on a particular certificate of title is entitled to a fee simple interest in that property, free from any condition or encumbrance that is not shown on title, is known as the indefeasibility principle. Luke and Alan are co-owners of a property, as tenants in common. They signed an agreement that stated that if either party wanted to sell their interest, the other party would have a right of first refusal to purchase the other party's interest. Alan discovers that Luke has entered into a contract to sell his interest, without offering Alan an opportunity to purchase the property, as previously agreed. What should Alan do at this time? Alan should register a caveat on the property. A clerk in the land title office mistakenly registered a fee simple transfer on the wrong title, with the result that Lot 5, owned by Michael, was transferred to Scott. Scott discovered this error and, instead of correcting the error, he sold the property to another person who was unaware of the clerical error and of Scott's dishonest conduct. Michael discovered the error after the buyer had registered the transfer from Scott. He wants his land restored to him and the register corrected. You correctly advise Michael that the person who bought the property, bona fide and for value, from Scott, is protected by the British Columbia land title system. As a result, Michael cannot have his property restored to him.